Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Welcome back to this week's episode of Friend Seekers Anonymous. I'm Cash.
And I'm Finn.
And we're super excited to talk to you this week because we tried out a new friend-making app called 222. I think we talked about it a little bit that we were going to a couple weeks ago. But yeah, we ended up following through and had our first couple experiences. And pretty much this episode is going to be about debriefing that and what our expectations were going in and what it was actually like.
Yeah. So for those of you who don't know, 222 is essentially a friend-making app. They like to call it like a random chances app. Basically, you fill out this questionnaire, which we're going to talk about in just a second.
The questionnaire is low-key wild.
The questionnaire goes crazy. But you fill out this questionnaire, and then they send you they give you like a personality type, and then they send you invitations for like random things around the city. Some of them are like dinner and drinks. Some of them are like crafting or a sporty thing, kind of based on what you say you're interested in. And then you go and you usually have like a food thing, like you eat food or you have some sort of drink with like 5 other people. Yeah. 6 people in total, because 222.
I didn't actually even realize that. Okay, that makes sense.
But you do that, and so you kind of get acquainted with like a smaller group, and then you do something with everybody who's invited to the event, because usually like I would say between like 20 and 40 people show up to any given thing. 20 seems like low.
Yeah,
20 to 40.
I think it just depends on what it is.
Yeah, totally. But there's like usually you have a smaller group that you connect with first, and then you can meet everybody after that. But again, each experience is different. But we do want to debrief it for you and tell you what we think works and what we think doesn't work about it and how you can best utilize it.
Hell yeah. Okay, so what do you think? Should we start with the questionnaire?
I should start with the registration, because that was something else.
Dude, I didn't even know what to expect. I'm thinking it's going to be kind of like Bumble BFF.
Yeah.
You like upload your pictures, you answer a few questions, you create a bio. No, it was not like that at all. It was honestly, it kind of felt like a personality test.
Totally. And you know what? I will say, speaking of profiles and uploading and whatever, 222 is really big on like it not being the typical dating or friend app where you swipe and scroll based on pictures. Like it's completely anonymous off top. So if that's something that speaks to you, go crazy. But it is very like, it feels like being in a secret club. Like
it does.
The way that they like design the screen even is so like,
yes.
I don't think I could describe it. You guys just have to like download it. But the questions are crazy.
The questions go deep, and yeah, the app is like so elegantly designed. I love it. I just think it flows super, super nice,
very
super posh. But yeah, so pretty much it starts out asking for basic information about you, no pictures, and then it just starts asking you personality questions like, oh, if you were in this social situation, what would you do?
Yeah.
And what kind of activities do you enjoy? And if somebody was like this, how would you react?
Yeah.
Do you like talking about politics? Like, what's your religion? Blah, 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 blah. Like, it goes deep.
It surely does go deep, which I will say I actually really respect, because I think that those are the important questions when it comes to friends. The one question that I'm like, I'm not mad that they asked it, I just really want to know the logic behind it, was the like, how attractive do you think you are on a scale of 10?
Oh yeah, that was wild. I was like, I mean, part of me wants to say 10 because but the other part of me is like,
10 out of
wait,
10.
I know I'm not top 1%, let's be real. And so I was like, maybe I need to be like chill and just be like an 8.
I think it's hysterical that your definition of chill is giving yourself an 8.
Hey man, that's a B. That's slayed
up. I really like. I did not know how to answer that question, because I was like, are people gonna like know when I gave
that's what I was wondering. I was like, it's low-key getting egotistical, but you know, like, hey man, you gotta be real.
I don't want to say 10. I think I kept it demure and said a 9.
Yeah. You're judging me for my 8. You're done. But yeah, but it was funny. So they asked that, but then they asked the next question is how, like, I can't remember how they worded it, but it was like, is being around people who are equally attractive to you, if not more, is that important to you?
That was one of them. It was like, how important is having hot friends basically to you? Which, you know what? I will say this. I do not personally feel this way. and I don't think you feel this way, but I know that there are people who really like having attractive friends. So if you're one of those people, I guess good to do the weeding out.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it definitely matters to some people, and to each their own. Like, I do think that was an important question to ask, because the girls who are going through a Bumble or whatever other app they're using where it's pretty much just picture based, you know, that is low-key what you're doing subconsciously, deciding whether that person is cute enough to be your friend.
Totally.
I liked how that aspect was like removed from this app, other than that one question. And I don't know about you, but I just put it in the middle. Like, I'm pretty neutral. I don't care.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really care either. Like, I care more about how much people value things like fashion or makeup or like, but I don't care how actually hot you are.
I don't care. The only aspect about making friends that I do feel like has to do with your look is your, you know,
the way you present yourself.
What's the word I'm trying to think of? Your self-esteem. That's what I was thinking of.
Yes.
Like, if your self-esteem is really, really low, like, I'm not gonna lie, I had some friends in like elementary school, middle school, high school, where they just didn't think that they were all that. They were really insecure. And I had friends who thought that I was just so beautiful, and I didn't appreciate that I was, and like, oh my God, you're this, you're that. And like, there would be moments when I'm like, that's really nice, like, you're bigging me up. But then there were also moments where I was like, wait, are you like judging me? Like,
I definitely think that can be like a factor. And I think we also, like, I definitely suffered from this on Bumble BFF, and I'm sure you did too. Like, when you see somebody the way they look first before you know really anything about them, I think there is like a tendency to put all that on them. Like, is that going to happen? Or are they this way? Or are they that way? But I think it's asking so much of yourself to not do that. Like, we all make snap judgments based on the way you look. So I feel like 222 is really great because they just don't let you. Like, you are basically forced to spend at least a couple hours with all these different people, and you can make a snap judgment based on the way they look, but you will wind up having it disproven through the course of the night. So
100%.
I think in that way, it's great.
Let me say, like, when I linked up with everybody at my little 222 experience, all of them were people that I probably like just wouldn't have swiped on.
Really?
Not because they're not attractive. Like, they were honestly so cute. But it's just, I don't know. Like, each and every one of them was like a little bit different than like my go-to friend, you know? Like, like, it was just a whole range of people. And I'm just like, I love that. Like, honestly, I like taking that aspect away, because also there were the girls who showed up looking really, really cute. And then there was the girls who showed up no makeup, looks like they just don't care. And they're just like, I'm here, hello.
So it's like,
I love that.
So slight.
I love the blend of it.
Okay. So speaking of your night, would you like to tell everybody what you did? How was it for you?
Okay, I'll first off say something else that I thought was interesting. So you do the questionnaire. It's honestly a lengthy process. And
it is,
I don't know when I'm going to do this, but I actually screen recorded myself filling out my 222 profile. And at some point I'm going to post that on TikTok so that if anybody is interested, they can look at what the process is and maybe judge my responses.
I also recorded her recording herself filling out the process. So if anybody would like to see the BTS, I will be posting that on TikTok.
Hell yeah. So I filled it out, took a really long time, like 35 minutes or really, something like that.
You were taking the SAT with it, honestly.
And that's another thing, is I know that you spent less time filling out yours, but like, I felt like because it really is just about your answers, like that's the only, you know, information they have to gauge who you are. I felt like I really needed to like be careful about what I was putting, because I don't want them to have this like false perception of me. You know, I want them to see the real me.
To know you.
But yeah, so I took a long time on it, and then afterwards, so they show you all these different events that are going on, and then you can pretty much not apply, but you can request.
Like, put yourself on the wait list, basically.
That's what it was. So you put yourself on the wait list, and then later on, after they've reviewed your profile, they'll determine whether they're going to give you an invite or not. And so I thought that was kind of cool. I was like, it's so elite.
Oh my God.
But yeah, so I ended up picking this holiday tote bag painting night thing.
So crafty.
Yeah, it was right up my alley. I'm not gonna lie, I actually have tote bags and all of the painting materials for
Dude, she
that.
has so many tote bags and painted ones
Oh
too.
yeah, like I need to do regular craft nights because I have pretty much every craft out there.
You know what
in
you
my
need
closet.
to post on TikTok? The actual tote that you made with the little veggies,
It's
like
cute.
the little turnips. It's
Yeah,
stupid
I
cute.
know. I'm not gonna lie, the tote bag that I did was so cute. I was like, I would have bought this for like $40.
You're ridiculous.
But anyway, so that ended up being it, and I really didn't know what to expect. Like, I didn't know where they were going to be hosting this, and it ended up being at this like ceramic shop or pottery studio in actually don't even know the area I was in. I think it was like West Hollywood.
That sounds
I
If I
don't
still
know.
had your location, I could have told you.
I thought I gave it back to you.
It's because your new phone doesn't have it.
Yeah, and
We
the excuse about my new
We need to make a whole nother episode about having your friends' locations and how to and not use that.
Yes, the do's and the don'ts.
The
of
do's and
sharing
the
your
don'ts of
location.
location sharing is crazy.
It goes wild. I'm like, low key, I like a select number of people to know my location in case I get murdered.
Yeah.
But in general, I don't want to be spied on. You know, I'm like, I'm doing my own thing. If I'm rotting in my bed for many days, I don't want
judge
I don't want to be held accountable for that. Accountability. I'm gonna start calling out all the random shit that I mess up saying as
So
I'm talking. Because I've been listening to our first few podcast episodes, and I'm like, oh my God, like the number of filler words, the number of times that I stutter and I just gloss over it. I'm like, let's just keep going.
Hysterical when sometimes you talk like this, as if talking like this means they won't hear us.
For the listeners that obviously can't see us, I do sometimes cup my hand and like
She's whispering to me.
I'm like telling you a secret, but
She whispers
I'm
into
not.
the microphone.
It feels more personal that way. Okay, I'm getting
We're
lost here.
So, it was held at this ceramic shop.
Yeah, and it was super cute, super posh. I was like, dude, I would take a ceramics class there any day of the week. Like, it was really, really nice. And so I show up, and there wasn't like a host that's running the night, but there was the pottery studio like lady who runs it who just was there, and she didn't do anything, but she just checked me in and like told me which table to go to. And there were, I think, 4 different tables of 6 people. And obviously I was nervous. I had no idea what to expect. I didn't know which table I was at. I'm not gonna lie, the app like doesn't give you barely any information about where you're going. Like it sends you a text. It's like, here's the address. Like, don't be late. And that's another thing. They're like really, really intense about not being late.
Not being late. Although I will say, like, having talked to some of the people who actually did go, a non-zero amount of people show up late, and it's really not that big of a deal. My favorite thing is that they're like, speak meaningfully with each and every person.
I was like, honestly, I wasn't going to do that. But since you reminded me, now I will.
Planning to have super disingenuous and lame conversation. But this was an interesting note. Thank you.
They're keeping us on track.
They're keeping us accountable.
Okay, but yeah, so anyway, so I walk in, and yeah, it was packed. There was like probably 40 people there or something like that. I guess I'm
What
not
was like
saying
the
math
gender
right.
distribution?
I was surprised by that too, because you had told me that like it was mostly guys.
Yeah.
For me, mostly girls. There's maybe 3 guys there. And yeah, they were very fun, very much like girls, guys.
I love the idea of like guys just painting little tote bags. Like I can imagine our boyfriends painting tote bags.
Yeah, I'm just like, if you're a man who won't go to a holiday tote bag painting event, I don't.
0 stars on Yelp.
It's giving red flag.
Uh-huh.
So lots of girls, and the table that I was at was only girls.
Yeah.
And so there was only 4 people there at my table. There was going to be a total of 6, or actually, I think when I showed up, there was only 3 people there. And so I was a little worried also that some people would cancel last minute. But obviously, like, so I paid like $40 to go to this event.
Okay.
And it's for all the supplies and everything. And then they had a trivia night afterwards, and they like, included the fees to be in the trivia for that. And so all in all, it was a little expensive, but I'm not going to lie, it was like worth it in the end because all the places that we went to were really, really nice.
I will say also, they ask you, and I think this is like a really great feature of theirs, like basically how much you're comfortable spending.
Yeah.
So there are activities that are only like $20 maximum, like a little less.
I think there was even one that was like 10. Like there's like hiking events
there's
too.
Super cheap activities, and then there are more expensive activities. So you can like it's very much a just pay what you can and go to whatever you can kind of thing.
Yeah, and the only reason I was even willing to pay that much is like genuinely for the supplies for the tote bag stuff. Like
no, that's a fair.
It was pretty even.
Yeah.
So anyway, so yeah, I show up and they told me, they were like, if you're 20 minutes late, we're gonna charge you $10.
They do,
which I was frustrated about because I am fashionably late to most things.
You do love your fashionably late.
If I'm not 5 minutes late, then there was clearly something going on that morning.
If she's like early, something has happened.
Yeah,
I swear you're only early to like serious stuff.
So yeah, I show up and my go-to way to, break the ice and just get to know everybody, I just was like, hi guys.
Because I will say that is hard. Like, I think this is a really great app and I think it's super cool. But just the act of sitting down with like 5, 4, whatever other strangers is like, it's a hard shit.
Oh yeah,
it is tricky.
Obviously, we all showed up at different times, so like they were already like in a conversation,
really?
And so that was a little like
intimidating
for me because I was just like I kind of had to go interrupt. But I'm not gonna lie, I subconsciously interrupt a lot of conversations because I have ADHD and I just really want to get my sentence out when it comes to mind.
You're too funny. Okay. So you go in and you're like, hi guys.
Yeah, I'm like, hi guys. I'm like, sorry to interrupt. And then I just introduced myself. I'm like, I'm Cash. Like, what's you guys' names? And then they told me, and then I was like, this is my first 222 experience. Like how many others have you guys been to? And I was pretty surprised by the answers. I'm not gonna lie.
Really?
So there were 2 girls that had gone to 2. There were 2 other girls that had gone to 4, and then there was 1 girl that went to 14.
14?
14 222.
That's actually crazy to me. I will say, by the way, little side note for the listeners and the viewers, let those numbers make you feel much less alone. Like if you're on the hunt for friends and you're using services, Bumble BFF, 222, whatever you're using, I know that there are people who will be judgy, but there are so many other people who are like using it like it's like a full-time job.
Yeah. And something that they reminded me, this group of girls specifically, is that, for our age range, like girls and guys, they're getting out of school and they've had whatever community they had in college. And then after that, it's a completely different world.
It really is.
And so like 2 of the girls that had been to the most 222 events, they both recently graduated from college and pretty much all of their college friends like moved away.
Yeah.
And so they're like, one of them was from LA and she's like, dude, like I had it made in college, but now everybody's gone. And so, and I'm not really meeting a whole lot of people in my job. So I just figured, hey, I'll see what's out there.
Yeah.
And they actually gave me a whole list. The girl who went 14 times, she has a whole list of different apps that she's used here in LA. And I had never heard of like half of them.
No way.
So we'll have plenty of content.
We'll be trying all of those for you.
But yeah, and so they were like, I told them about the podcast and they were like, you have to make an episode about that. Just like being post-college, trying to find your community, being in your career and yada, yada, And I was like, that is really smart because I have been out of college for a while. And so that was definitely a factor of my life a few years ago. But now that I've been out of school for I don't know how, it's been like 3 years at this point.
Yeah.
I don't think about it all the time, but that is like a huge reason that people struggle. And so anyway, needless to say, they had a lot of food for thought on 222. And the girl who's been 14 times, she's like, seriously, like I pay for it monthly because after you've gone to a couple of different events, they ask you if you want to subscribe. And if you do, it's like you can go to, I think, however many events you want, or maybe there's a limit, but you pay $22 a month. Of course,
love the theme.
All themed.
Yeah.
And she was like, honestly, I think that's a steal because I'm pretty sure she can go to like multiple events. And she's like, that's
a really good deal.
If you just went to 2 a month, like that would be paying for itself already. And I was like, honestly, if this is like your main way to meet new people and socialize and put yourself out there, like I think it's pretty cool. And like that's not too expensive.
So what did you guys talk about? You're like, hey,
we talked about why we even used it, like why we were all struggling to meet people, and like the common denominator was being out of school. And
I will say, by the way, I think that's always like a great icebreaker. That's what I asked like people kind of right off the bat too, is just like, why'd you download the app, or what's like what. Because I think it's a nice thing to like, that is the one thing, like you guys are all obviously strangers, but the one thing you literally do have in common is the fact that you're using 222. So it's a good thing to like connect on right off the bat.
And also, like, you know, it can be this kind of embarrassing thing at first, like, especially for me, it's the first time I'm going there. So I'm like, you know, I do think it's nice to get it out in the open. Like, why are we even looking? Because, you know, there is, I think, a little bit of stigma.
It's so weird. I feel like it feels almost awkward until you like acknowledge it between you and the other people to be like, oh, we met through this like app, like this weird kind of thing.
And also, like, I think it's good to get it out there, like, we have other friends. Like, this is kind of just for fun. Like, there was nobody there who just straight up doesn't have anybody in their life, which I think is good.
No,
because...
honestly, would they admit that if they did?
I mean, I don't know. But I liked the responses because I'm like, okay, everybody seems pretty normal. Yeah. They're just doing this to kind of like boost.
I will say, I think, again, we don't endorse lying. But, like, I think you come off better to people if you make it clear that you're trying to expand your community, not that you're just trying to, like, gain a single friend.
I just need one.
I just need a friend. And if that is your situation, genuinely no hate, it was mine at one point, you just don't have to tell people that.
Fake it till you make it.
Honestly, it's not a sharing.
I am like a moral OCD kind of person where I cannot tell a lie, and if I do, I start giggling and it's pretty obvious. But I would definitely put on a little front if I had say no friends.
I normally can't tell a lie either. I just don't think I'd immediately start giggling. I have to say, like, I have one friend.
I think I would just be like, honestly, I'm not gonna lie, I have one friend and I'm looking for more. You can also just do that, and you know what? Giggle at yourself.
They don't have to know if that friend is like your mom or your dad or your pet or whatever.
Definitely. Anyway, so that was my beginning of the night, just doing the tote bag painting. And honestly, let me just say, some of the girls told me that there are 222 events where it's kind of just like a meet and greet where you like go get a drink or you eat food. And I'm pretty sure you did that.
Yeah, that was more my experience. We'll talk about that in a second.
Yeah, but anyways, the bottom line was, those are not necessarily the best events because it's kind of nice to have an activity like we've talked about in previous episodes.
Yeah, activities are great.
Yeah, because like when there were lulls in the conversation, I even like made fun of myself. I was like, I'm not gonna lie, every time there's awkward silence, I feel like it's my fault, and I like have the feeling that I want to info dump, and I'm fighting that urge right now.
You were
like,
so funny.
3 of them started dying. They're like, I'm the same way. And so honestly, that's my approach too. Is like I'll just like literally make fun of myself, or just like very candidly tell them what I'm struggling with.
Yeah.
And usually it's a connecting point because I know we all nervous somewhat, you know. And so anyway, when there were lulls in the conversation, we were all just painting, and then like after it had been quiet for a minute, we'd like talk about what we were painting and like exchanging ideas. Like it was really, really cute and nice. And then we also were close enough to the other tables where we could overhear some of their conversations. And oh my God, when there were lulls at my table, listening to the other people talk was hilarious.
Can we talk about how fun eavesdropping is?
I'm not gonna lie, people watching and people listening is sometimes very fun. And me and my group members, we were all doing it.
Really?
And we'd like,
what were the other tables talking about?
There was this one girl, she talked about she got stabbed.
What?
Yes, literally. Oh my God. All of a sudden it's silent and we just hear, yeah, I got stabbed. And one of the people said, are you okay?
No, I'm not. I'm actually bleeding out right now.
I love that response. I'm like, I would hope so. You're here. And so I definitely heard that. And,
did you get more information on the stabbing?
I listened to a little bit of it, but then we all started giggling. And then at some point,
so mad at you right now.
I lost it.
I need more info.
I unfortunately don't know whether she's okay.
If you went to a 222 event, to paint tote bags and you got stabbed, please like hit us up in the comments so I know that you're okay.
There's going to be zero comments. I would hope.
Oh
But yeah, so that was one comment that I eavesdropped on. But then there was another one where a girl was like, yeah, I just got broken up with yesterday. I'm like having a really hard time. And I was like, holy shit.
Girly pop.
Honestly, though, I was like, good for you. Like, you're out at like a 222 event.
Seriously. Dude, I could not. Like, day after I get broken up with, I am stuffing my face with ice
That's
cream.
when the location gets turned on and I rot in the bed and I want nobody to talk to me.
The location would literally be my bed and the convenience store.
I love it. But yeah, so there was that. And yeah, that honestly gave me and my group members more to talk about when we like hit a wall with each other. And anyway, so yeah, long story short, that was the pottery event, which lasted, I think, like 2 hours. And then after that, there was a trivia night at a bar that was like 3 minutes of a drive away, 15 minutes of a walk. And I actually got dropped off by my boyfriend. And so I like kind of set it up to where I was like, either I go home afterwards or I have to like either walk there with somebody or catch a ride, which I think was like a good way.
That's really smart.
100%. And also like they're like my entire group pretty much went to the trivia thing afterwards. And you know, half of the girls drove themselves, but they were like, I really don't want to give up my parking. And so one of the girls ended up just offering to drive us all, and we were just like blasting music.
Cool.
Like,
love it.
It's really, really fun. And so anyway, then we all go together and it was pretty much just me and 3 other girls from my group who ended up staying at the trivia night for a while. And we didn't even end up doing the trivia because there were so many people at this bar. Like it was apparently a grinder trivia night special. And so
that's crazy.
There are a lot of very sexy gay men there.
Love it.
And honestly, I could not even hear the person who was shouting out the question.
You're kidding.
I couldn't. He was like, wow. So anyway, here's the next one. You lost me. And so we tried to listen in for a while, but then after that, we were just like, you know what? Let's just talk amongst ourselves. And there wasn't even really a good place to see. Like, apparently there was supposed to be a table reserved for us, but then like another group showed up and there were way more people in that group, so they asked if they could have it, and we gave it up to them. And then I just went up to all of the nice men and I was like, can I have your stool? So that we could get enough stools to sit by the bar. I love gay men. They're so nice. They're like, girl, we got you. You take this right now. And so, yeah, then we just sat at the bar. We all had espresso martinis and just chit-chatted.
I saw your espresso martini on your story and I was like, too cute.
I'm not gonna lie. Like, I am not a big drinker at all. It's usually just some nice red wine or an espresso martini. And so, like, I wasn't even planning to really drink that night, but then the girl who drove us was like, I have been craving espresso martini all night, and I was like, I love you, and we are now friends. And then all of them wanted one, and so we all got it.
I was like, how did she get a whole table to drink espresso martinis?
Soul sisters, that's why.
You know what? I'm with that.
Anyway, so it was really, really fun, and then I ended up leaving like, I don't know, like an hour after we got to the bar, just because the martini had hit and I was ready to go rot at the house. And so, yeah, my boyfriend came and picked me up, and I ended up getting all of the girls' Instagrams, and I offered to like host a little craft night, like very similar to what we did, where it's just like the girls from my table, and like we can do some more tote bags, we can do some jewelry making, we can just paint, we can, you know, talk shit, and anyway, so it's really fun. And they were like, girl, yes, you tell me when, we will be there. And I was like, okay.
That's amazing.
It was really, really fun. I'm not gonna lie, I was like, that's the best group experience I've had in like a hot minute.
That's so slay. I'm actually really happy for you. I had a different experience.
Yeah, let's get the good experience.
I'm so happy for you.
But yeah, you low-key made me jaded because you went on your experience a day before.
And I called her and was like, that was terrible.
Yeah.
I didn't. Okay, I will say, let me like get into it because I don't want to say it was terrible.
Also, you might have some of your table people. That's not what I meant to say. The people.
My table people.
You might have some people from your table listening in on this. So
true.
You better watch what you say.
If you're from my table and you're listening in on this,
table people.
If you're my table person, and you're listening in on this, it was not a terrible experience, but I also think you would know what I was talking about. So, okay. First, I'll say what I did. We all went to this French restaurant in Venice, which is actually the food, like whatever else was happening, the food was very good. Shout out to Zinke.
I'm not gonna lie, like where they throw these events,
It's good.
it's cute as fuck. Like whoever's curating it, hats off to you.
You speak too soon.
Oh,
Because it was so it was this French restaurant, and we spent about 2 hours there, and then afterwards we went to a bar for like holiday themed drinks. It's possible that part of the reason for this was because I was at a bar on a Monday, but the bar was like dead empty. It was like, first of all, it was just weirdly set up. It was giving like high school cafeteria.
No way.
It was not good.
Especially in Venice, I would expect more. Like they have so many cute places
It was
out there.
on like Abbot Kinney too, which is such a cute street, but this bar was just not it. And there were like a bunch. I think we were the only ones populating the bar because like everybody was standing in groups of 6, and I could immediately tell who was 222 because they were standing with 5 other people, like kind of insularly. But anyway, I'll break down the dinner first. So dinner was awkward. It was awkward. We sit down, and this is why I would genuinely probably say I think 222 is a great app, but I would heavily recommend just an activity-based thing. Like I saw Capture the Flag, I saw hiking.
Capture the Flag is so funny. I'm not gonna lie.
But it's honestly better than this because the problem is I think you sit down and there's genuinely nothing to talk about except whatever you can cook up in your brain.
Yeah, it's like a literal dinner date.
No, it actually is, but with like 5 other people, so it's really hard to build these individual connections. But anyway, I sat down and I was like, hi, everybody. And I tried to break the ice by asking people like, how they like, or like why they downloaded 222 and how they heard about it. And that made conversation for about like 10-ish minutes. And then it fell silent again. And then what did I ask people? I think I asked everyone like what they did for work because I was just trying to get like, this is my thing. Like, this is how I connect to people. I just really wanted to get a sense of like who they were. Like, what's your deal? Like, what do you do? What's your situation?
Same thing happened with my group. And I was actually pretty surprised. Like, we all are in really similar industries. Yeah. Everybody at my table. So I think that was like a big factor.
Really helpful.
Maybe why we got grouped.
I think we were all in extremely different industries. Like, I'm an actor. There was one other actor at the table actually, which is crazy. And then there was a student, another student who wanted to be an accountant, a security guard, and a musician.
Oh.
So it was like a crazy mix of people.
Very interesting mix.
But we started off there, and then it just kept falling silent. And there was one guy, honestly, shout out to this guy, because like, respect. And if you are a person who can do this, you should go ahead and do it at events like these because it was so helpful. He just like, whenever it falls silent, he would either just spout off some shit that was clearly just top of mind, or he would like ask a question. Like at one point, after I asked everyone what they like did for work, he just asked people like, what's your deal? Like, what do you like to do for fun? What's your situation? Which like I think people feel awkward asking a question when it's obvious that you're just doing it to break the silence.
Yeah.
But honestly, you shouldn't, because the silence is way more painful than a random question.
Yeah, 100%. I do think that question is wild, though.
Like, what's your
deal?
And he literally said it exactly like that. I was like, okay, guys.
I mean, let's get down to brass tacks here, people.
There was one guy, actually, once the food came, it fell silent. Again.
Dude, okay, that is my number one reason why I hate dinner dates, period, with anybody I don't know very well.
And then gotta talk in.
And then, yeah, I talked about it on the other episode, but I just won't eat because I would rather talk and have there not be awkward silence than enjoy my food.
Real, except I was extremely hungry and the food was really good. And low-key, I yelled to the restaurant before and like pre-picked what I was going to order. And I was like, this salmon is so good.
Yeah, so anyway, pause on the conversation.
Yeah, shut the fuck up. I really need to like savor the salmon.
Honestly, if I was getting salmon, I'd do the same thing.
But anyway, so the food comes, and then this one guy just asked like, what's everybody's favorite type of food? And I think these types of questions can seem really like basic or boring, but honestly, it was just like, I was so appreciative of just someone breaking the ice. And you can get, if you are willing to, I will say, some constructive feedback for a few of the people I met that night. I won't be dropping names. But like, when asked a question, it's great to elaborate. like, try and make sure you're not answering things with one word, because like a question like, oh, what are your top 3 favorite types of cuisines? It can be, you can give a boring answer. Like you can say like, oh, I like sushi, Mexican, and Italian. Or you can elaborate and you can be like, oh, I really like sushi. You know, this specific place is really fun. Or like,
have you guys ever been here?
Yeah, or like this is, you know, some experience. Like just elaborate, and then through that, people will like not only learn more things about you, which is good, but get a sense of like your personality and the way you communicate and the types of jokes you make.
Yeah.
All of which are really great. So anyway, we kind of stumbled our way through dinner. And then by the end, we'd actually all warmed, like we had kind of found a rhythm. It's tricky to find a rhythm with 5 other people. Like I think it's easier to find a rhythm with 1 or 2.
Especially because it wasn't mostly dudes?
It was mostly dudes. I was, out of the 6 people, there was me and 1 other girl. And so the gender disparity of it, I would say I think a lot more guys go to the meet and greets. So I think if you're a girl and listening to this, I think try whatever you want, but be aware that it's a little bit harder, I think, to make friends when the gender distribution is more off.
Yeah. Let me just say, I honestly didn't even realize that was a factor when I first was setting my account up. Like, it didn't ask me any questions about
guys or girls
or what gender I'm looking for. And so I wasn't even like thinking about that.
Yeah.
But I do think it's a nice aspect, you know, the fact that you can meet whoever, but at the same time, like, you know, obviously we're both in relationships, so it can be a little bit awkward.
It can definitely be sticky, and I think there's that element of it, and I'm all for making guy friends. I just think sometimes it's a little bit easier in the beginning to connect with women, but I will say there were some guys there that I did connect with at the bar. So we go from the restaurant to the bar, and the bar is like, I'm going to be real, the bar was awkward at first. It was really giving high school on so many levels. Like, we were all in our little individual original 222 groups, and we were so, like, skittish about approaching each other.
Yeah.
So at one point, one guy from my group, respect to this guy, just started, like, walking up to every group and being like, oh, are you 222? And then, like, starting a conversation with them. And kind of, like, I sort of just piggybacked on this guy because I was like, okay, whatever. And so I ended up walking up to one table that was actually really cool, with some people I really liked, and I was like kind of getting to know them. There was one girl I met. I did hit a point where I was like feeling like I kind of had to interview people. Like, I was asking all the questions. And there was one girl who I was talking to who I was like, where are you from? And she told me. And then I was like, okay, how long have you been in LA? And she told me. Silence again. And I was like, cool, what do you do? And then she told me, this annoyed me more than anything. So she told me what she did, and I won't say what it is because I don't want to out her, but it was something kind of cool. And I was like, oh, that's actually like really interesting. Like, I've heard a lot about that not a ton about it, but a little bit about it in the news. Like, what's it actually like working there? And she was like, I don't really like to talk about work. Like, I'm there so much of the time and it's just exhausting and I don't want to talk about it. And I was like, okay, girl, like, you got it. I mean, like, that's fine, but then talk about something, shorty.
I know, I'm like,
it was silent before this.
Give me something to work with.
Literally.
And also, when you're meeting people for the first time, like, so actually one of my sisters who told me to try Bumble BFF, she was like, whenever I'm meeting up with people, tell people off tops, I don't want to talk about work. Like, I just don't want to. I'm there all the time. Exactly the same reasoning.
Yeah.
And I get it, you know?
Get it too.
But at the same time, I'm like, when people meet you for the first time, like, that is an aspect of your life.
Okay, this is so important to me because I've heard many people say that, and that is always my response. Like, on the one hand, I understand, but on the other hand, seriously, I'm trying to get to know you. That is a big part of who you are.
Yes.
It's what you spend most of your time doing. But also, and this is very real to me, when you, like, off the bat tell people, oh, I don't want to talk about this or whatever, it really feels like you're shutting them down.
Oh,
like, it feels like a shutdown. It feels kind of like awkward and a little bit like hurtful.
Like a little like, why would you even ask me that?
Yeah, like basically fuck off. So if you don't want to talk about work, my advice to you would be just answer the question briefly. Like, when I was like, oh, what's it actually like working there? If she had just been like, oh, you know, quick little like 1-sentence response, and then asked me something or filled the silence somehow, some other way, I would have been completely fine. I'm not a journalist. I'm not dying to know, like,
Wait, you're not?
Like, please, I don't need a step-by-step of your work routine. Just like a little something to make conversation.
Yeah, honestly, I was about to say that. Like, if somebody asks you a question that you're uncomfortable with, just give them a summary real quick. And then even she could have said, like, you know, this is like it in short. But I'm not gonna lie, like, I hate talking about work because I'm there all the time. And so anyway, moving past that, like, blah 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 blah.
Or like, what do you
leave
do
it
for
somewhere?
work?
Yeah. Or you, like, you know, do you ever feel that way? Like, you just like are at work all the time, you don't want to talk about it anymore.
If somebody's asking you what you do for work, that probably means they are willing to or happy to talk about what they do for work. So if you don't want to talk about it, literally turn it on them. Anyway, that annoyed me, but that girl left pretty quickly.
She's probably know about you too. How dare she ask me about my job?
How dare you? But after that, we actually hit like a decent flow. I was in a booth with like a few of the guys from my table, and then a few people I had met from another 222 group, and we spent like 2-ish hours at the bar just chopping it up. And I would say I don't know if there's anybody who I like think is like a lifelong bestie of mine, but my experience was a lot more like it was just fun to be social for a night. Like, I don't think there was a lot of longevity there, but it was something that got me out of the house and that got me around a bunch of people. And it also, I will say, for those of you who are a little bit shyer, because I'm a little bit shyer and a little bit more like nervous about social stuff, it was just a really great way for me to like get myself used to it and just push myself out of my comfort zone and get used to talking to strangers again. So I definitely would not recommend the meet and greets as like a way to make your best friends. But if you're just trying to practice being social and like learning how to talk, it's a great thing.
I think that's a great perspective to have on it because, you know, the root of what we're trying to get at with this whole podcast is just methods for putting yourself out there after, you know, maybe long periods of not doing that and trying to expand your social.
Oh my God. Wait, you know what's funny? Okay, so we're in a second. I think we should talk about like how to like approach people at the end of the night to like make a like trade information and maybe hang out again if you are vibing with somebody. What not to do. There was this one guy who's at my table originally who just went around to everybody being like, follow for follow, and then like up his Instagram.
God, that's so lame.
I was like, dude, I mean, sure, but like,
just go to the hashtag and go meet some strangers online. Literally. Ridiculous.
I was like, are we 12?
No, literally. But yeah, like it worked really well for me. Like there was one girl who had to leave early.
How did you follow people?
And before she left, I was just like, can I just get your Instagram?
Yeah.
Like it's so easy. Like literally just be like, can I get your Insta?
I think people get like honestly a little bit awkward at the end of the night because they don't know how to do that. Can I get your Insta? And then if they say they don't have social media, can I get your number? Easy way to do it.
Yeah.
We're all there to meet people, so it shouldn't feel so awkward or so embarrassing to like ask for contact. But there was one girl who, like the one girl that I was like really vibing with, I asked her like, can I get your Instagram? And then she was like, I don't have one, but we had been talking about TikTok all night.
Okay.
And so I was like, can I just get your TikTok? And then she ended up messaging me after and was like, oh, so nice meeting you. Like, if you ever want to go for a hike sometime, let me know. I think that's the perfect way to do it.
Yeah.
It's not creepy at all. It's very like nice, normal. It's quick. If I'm not vibing, I just won't respond. If I am, I will. Like, and I was, so I did.
I love that.
If you're watching that, Miss Girl.
Good for you, girl.
But I think it's like a really quick thing, but I do want to impress upon y'all. Like if you're
impress upon y'all.
Like if you're gonna go and if you're going to like make friends, you gotta ask people for their info because I think there's so many people who just like kind of tap out at that moment. Because it's like, well, you're not going to get anywhere if you go to a bunch of these and never follow up with people.
Yeah, I don't really understand that approach because, I mean, maybe they just
they just hated me.
Maybe they didn't vibe with you, I'm not going to lie. But, like, you know what? They're lost. And honestly, like you said, you know, we could chit-chat a little bit more on social or through texting. And if it's not a love connection, like, no harm done. You know?
Like, let's just move on. And I think that's the other thing about 222 that's great is, like, in any given night, you're meeting probably at least like 15 people. It's not going to be like we talked about last week or the week before. It's not going to be a love connection with every person you meet. So numbers wise, you really shouldn't feel bad at all or discouraged if there's only like 1 or 2 people that you're vibing with from like.
Honestly, I think that sounds like a success to me.
Yeah.
Even just one person you really vibed with. And I feel like I got really lucky with my group because I want to get that exact same group together because we all just vibed really well as a group.
Yeah.
I actually don't even know how I vibe with each of them individually because, you know, the table was set up in a way where like I can't really easily have but conversations with each of them separately. But, you know, having a fun group dynamic is a great gateway into then maybe having individual relationships with those people. But
I also will say, like, for everybody listening, don't get discouraged if your experience isn't like hers, because I mean, like we literally both said, like, odds wise in a group of like 50 people, the odds that even one is like a great match for you friend-wise is like good numbers. So if you're gonna try 222, I would really encourage you all to try it like a lot of, like, I'm gonna go to at least 4 more events and see what it is, but I don't think you can just go to one and then be like, oh, what's that?
And all the girls that were at my table too, like they
had gone to a bunch.
Yeah, they'd gone to a bunch, and they were like, specifically, there were some that were really painfully awkward. Yeah. But there were others like where like I hung out with the people pretty much all night, and it was so much fun. And anyway, there is such a range of different activities and events that you can go to. Like, you're gonna meet a whole slew of people if you're open to it. And yeah, if you walk away with one connection, great. You got out the house, you did a cool thing, you practice your social skills, and you might have one little bestie pop.
Okay, so what would you say, like, going in, what were your expectations of the night, and how closely did you even have expectations?
I literally had no expectation. I'm not gonna lie.
Same.
And like Carl, my boyfriend, he was making fun of me before I left because I was honestly kind of like very sluggish that day, and I was just like, I don't even want to go, and I was just like, I'm tired. Like, I just got off work. I'm just like, are you sure that I can't just skip it? But honestly, it was good because I low-key am like that sometimes. Like, especially during the week, you know, I said this in another episode, but I don't always want to go out every day of the week because I'm working, and then when I get off work, I'm freaking tired, and I want to go post up on the couch with my cat. So chill.
With the vampire diaries always.
Don't out me like that. I watch cool shit too.
I watch artsy shit.
I do. I actually watched an art film the other night, Finley. Whoa. Do you even know it? Yeah.
Who are you?
I'm an intellectual.
I don't know you. But Team Damon or Team Steph?
It's Team Damon all the way. Okay.
All right.
I forgot what I was saying. Okay. Expectations.
Yes.
Didn't really have any, but honestly, going into it, I think that you should just be open-minded to literally anything, and don't take your first experience and expect that to be each and every experience you're gonna have.
And also, I would say, like, the thing I was most nervous about going in, and like my like worst fear expectation, was it being fucking awkward and like us sitting down and having nothing to say to each other because we're 6 strangers. And the truth is that did happen like a number of times, but it was genuinely fine. Like, it was kind of awkward, but it was also like, whatever, man. Like, it's not that big of a deal, and you can either sit in the silence or cook up something random to say. But I think sometimes we, like, because we're so uncomfortable with like pushing ourselves out of our comfort zone in this way, we catastrophize. But I was like,
so slay. Oh
no,
my God.
Word. Who's an intellectual now?
The shoddy bait to my left.
I think we catastrophize the idea of awkward social experiences, and they're not like fun, but they're not horrible. And I think it's really good to sort of exposure therapy yourself to those.
I knew you were going to say that. I love using that term.
I love exposure therapy.
But honestly, I think that that's such a good perspective to like take away from it, because honestly, if that's the worst fear, which is definitely my worst fear also, like that is just going to be silent and I'm going to internalize that. Yeah. Like, that is good practice to see your fears become realized and then realize it's not actually that bad. And like, worst case, it don't matter, and I'm going to walk away from this and not keep up these connections, and I'll try again.
And honestly, it's like, it was, at first I was like, oh God, oh no, like it's going exactly the way I was afraid it would go. And then I was like, whatever. First of all, the salmon is so slay. But secondly, like, this is a good opportunity for me to just practice making conversation. And it can't get much worse than this. So it's fine.
Yep.
And I'll just like build up from here. So overall, I think the takeaways we have are keep yourself open. Maybe prepare yourself with a few questions. That's always like my advice. Come prepared with a notebook.
You love your memorized questions.
But I will say for something like this, just come prepared with a few icebreakers, because sometimes it will be like we're just six strangers and we don't know. Like, you are always going to have something in common with somebody, but you're not going to know off tops what it is. So come in with a few questions. Try to pick activity ones if you are not a dinner date queen.
I would say always pick the activity one. Based on what everybody else at my table told me also. They were just like, every single meet and greet, kind of dinner date, bar date kind of thing that we've gone to was really awkward.
Yeah.
So I think that I've heard enough people's experiences to know that probably is just going to be more awkward. And you might end up having a better experience, but I think it doesn't hurt to have a little bit of a distraction to do something else.
Full agreement. Literally so much.
But yeah, let's wrap up this episode by telling them lastly about the questions that we were asked after the experience.
Oh my God, the after questions.
Dude,
yes.
They're kind of wild.
The after questions honestly like made me nervous.
I haven't even finished mine because I didn't even know what to say, but you can probably speak more to this. But my experience was, so as soon as you're done, you'll get a text like the next day or something, and it'll tell you like, oh, like a bunch of people from the other night like want to hang out again. And so I got that text, and of course I was like, ew, okay. And so then you go to the app, and it pretty much asks you to rate the location, the activity, and then you rate each of the people in your group.
Like 1 out of 10, you have to rate them, and then you have to say what you liked or didn't like about them. Like write a quick little blurb.
Yeah.
And feels so uncomfortable.
That was so strange. I'm just like, I want to rate these people. I mean, obviously it's not like you high and you not, but it was like, did you vibe with them and why? I mean, rating people, that's what I immediately think of.
Like, I think it can make you feel awkward, but I will also say shout out to 222. I actually think it's a really good feature of the app, because it's valuable to be able to tell, like, because they curate, this is important, they curate like who they're going to introduce you to based off the information you give, and it's like ever evolving.
Yeah.
So they'll like curate who they'll introduce you to next based on what you thought of the people they already introduced you to.
Yeah.
So it made me feel very awkward, very like Mean Girls, like Bird Book style.
I know, and I was just like, it definitely felt like a Bird Book a little bit, which is why I like stopped when I started it.
Is that why you like quit out? Because
I don't know what to say.
I think you're like much more of a people pleaser than I am, because I was like, they're not gonna see what you said, which is good. But also I really do, like, it made me feel awkward, but I was also kind of like, I didn't really connect with these people that well. I'd like the app to know that, so that next time I go, I can like meet people I do connect with. I think it's different for you because you like loved everyone at your table.
Yeah, because I'm just a loving person. But no, another thing that I thought was kind of nice is 2 of the girls at my table, they actually met through a different 222 experience.
Oh, really?
And then they, one of the girls who signed up added her as a +1.
Mm-hmm.
And when they showed up, I literally thought they were childhood friends. Like, they had like
really,
really, really instant connection. It felt kind of like us.
I love that.
But at first it made me like feel a little awkward because I was like, ugh, they already like know each other.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like less inclined to talk to them. But then once we did talk to them, we realized they'd only met twice. Like, that was the second time
that's
hanging out.
Crazy.
But they've never hung out outside of a 222 experience.
Wow.
But they've been like inviting each other to different ones.
That's
and I'm
actually
like,
so awesome.
That's pretty cool. So like, not only are these questions going to help the algorithm or whatever they use to determine, who to introduce you to next, but then also if you really like somebody and they're not included in the next activity you want to go to, invite them. And then that's a really easy way to follow up.
One thing I also love about 222, it's really easy to bring. There's actually a +1 in not at my table, but at the bar, who she invited her +1, and they met off Bumble.
Oh, that's
which I thought was so cute.
Dude, the funny thing is, I brought up Bumble BFF, and none of them had used it.
That's crazy.
And I was like,
me.
what?
Bumble BFF was like the main one for like
Bumble
years.
Needs to sponsor us, because I'm
really
not gonna
do.
lie, like, I don't
big up Bumble BFF.
I don't think I could have gotten here without Bumble BFF, and I'm surprised that they've never tried it.
I know, it's actually wild to me.
Yeah.
But the +1 thing is actually really cool. 222 will let you invite people to the experience in general, just like if they want to come also. And then they'll also let you do a thing called +1s, where whoever you invite is sat at your table.
Yeah.
Like at your little specific group of Ep6, both of which I think are really good features and ways to like, if you are feeling a little bit more shy, to like bring along moral support, or if there's just somebody you think would enjoy it.
Yeah, I think it's a really easy way to follow up and like make plans after you've connected with somebody, and it doesn't have to be completely out in the world on your own.
Totally.
But I do think another cool feature was like I could have invited, my boyfriend or you to one of the events as well. They just have to set up an account. However, if you bring a +1 that's not already been to a 222 experience, like they make you sit separately. And they make you like go and talk to other people and like not latch
Which I
on
think
to that.
is really cool.
Yeah, because it was cool. It's like I could have brought you and we could have had completely different like experiences that then like came together at the end. But also with that being said, I liked the fact we went separately because made me like have to go and like talk to people.
Like, okay, I wanted to go with you because I wanted somebody to like handhold me.
Yeah.
But I do think it was good. And also I'm kind of glad you didn't go to mine.
Bro, if I was there, I would have spiced the night up.
You surely would have.
It would have been you and me tag teaming the interview.
No, actually. All right, well, I think we're going to wrap it up for this week. But if any of you try 222, please let us know your experience. Or if you have any more specific questions for us, we'd love to hear from you guys.
And if you're curious what it looks like to set up your account, watch out for our TikToks.
It will be coming.
They're honestly pretty funny. And I think that it's an app that pretty much anybody should try out.
100%.
If you've done Bumble BFF, this is the next step for you. So anyway, we will see you next week.
Bye, guys.